Hey there guys, I'm Felix Jones and Lego Cheetah, and by God hasn't it been a while. It really has been quite a long time since you and I have spoken, and well, you know, that is a shame, but then again people have lives and stuff to be getting on with. I guess kind of the universe just keeps on moving. Anyway, nice to see you, but I've really got to be getting on with some... no, I'm just kidding. I'm here to do a bit of a review, just because, well, the first movie that I've... Well, I wouldn't even say it was the first movie I felt like talking about in a while, but I am basically the reason. You want to know why I've been gone for so long? You really want to know? It's I've basically been working just really shitty jobs for a long time, trying to get some money together so that I can finally move out of my parents' house, which is where I live, and yeah, it's just finally actually started being something that's become successful after like months and months of setbacks and a lot of deep philosophical thinking going on, and you know, just working out what I wanted to do with myself. Now that it looks like I'm finally getting out of here, you know, or possibly hopefully very soon, I feel like sanity and sort of slowly coming back to me, you know, like I must have left it at the top of this pit that I fell into. And with that, I'm hoping to actually do some upcoming reviews. You know, I did something yesterday that I haven't done in ages, and I bought a DVD for the purposes of making a review. So let's hope that that's all going to go through. I'll give you a little hint at the end of the video as to what it's going to be. And also, the release of this video is probably going to indicate whether or not that's realistically happening, because if this goes well, if the writing process for this review goes well later, then I will post this. But yeah, other than that, let's talk about The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2 is a movie I've been looking forward to for years and years. I've really just desperately wanted to get back to Brad Bird and his stronger elements, especially after Tomorrowland, which I don't know if... I can't even remember if I reviewed that, but if I didn't, then it was really, really bad, and it's based upon an idea that's already... that was just completely dead out of the gate. Why would anybody possibly think... Let's take... you know, very notoriously famous at this point, anti-Semite Walt Disney's idea of a land where the superior people would go and be preserved and kept separate, segregated from the rest of society. Let's turn that into a family-friendly film. And yeah, that was really bad, and real shame, especially because it seemed like a really nice. It seemed like a great opportunity for Brad Bird to move into live action, and then it just did not seem to pay off that well at all. Not for me. I mean, some people would say that if you rewatch Tomorrowland, which I haven't done actually, to be fair, it's better. But then again, I remember everything that was bad about it. I'm pretty sure I did do a review. Doesn't matter. I can't cut this out, unfortunately. That's the one other reason that I haven't done a review in a long time, is I don't have a laptop with the working editing software on it at the moment. I've gotten so. It's got to a point where I've been so far deep in between videos that I've just completely let go of like maintaining all the equipment and such. Not that I haven't been, you know, it's not that I've been completely idle. I've been quite busy with some other stuff, but creative stuff. But I've been using other people's equipment for that. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, I can't cut shit out. So basically, this review has got to be one of my old classic one-shotter things. So yeah, talk back to The Incredibles 2. So we've finally got Brad Bird coming back around to what he's great at, which is animation. The animation in this movie, you will probably have noticed from the trailer, is actually quite different. That's largely because, well, actually I don't know what the reasoning behind it is, but it is significantly different. The obvious thing that springs out straight away is there's like a richer colour palette and textures to the skin of the characters. But for some reason I think it's a bit of a downgrade that they suddenly added bags under the eyes of a lot of the characters, and just wrinkles and that sort of thing. And it really, especially because at the beginning of the film we have a bit of a recap, as you have seen from undoubtedly seen from the trailer. We have some bits where the movie picks up right where the last one left off, and we see clips that we've already seen before, essentially reenacted, and it stands out so completely obviously how different it looks, and all the characters look stoned with their ridiculous bags under their eyes, or just incredibly tired. Not that there aren't tired characters in this film anyway. Kind of irrelevant. But so, what did I think of this movie overall, without any spoilers or anything? This isn't the end of that part of the review, I'm just sort of saying that there won't be any spoilers for the time being. Overall, this movie's pretty much everything that you could possibly have wanted from a new Incredibles movie, or from another Incredibles movie, especially in terms of like a first sequel. It does have, instead of expanding on the themes of the previous film, some of them are sort of reiterated, and others, but then there's a lot more new, darker themes opened up and explored in this film. Although explored not necessarily that deeply would be sorry, that was quite a butchered and laboured sentence. But yeah, that is basically how it feels. It is a significantly different film, but it doesn't have the same subtlety. It doesn't have the same overarching theme carrying you through the entire film. There's like several different themes going on. It's a bit of a female empowerment film, which is always good. And there is some quite deep, dark adult philosophy explored in this film, and the kind of stuff that's really up my street. You know, as I said, I've been doing a lot of more philosophical thinking lately. Really massive fan of the film, of the series Westworld. I was going to do a review for series 2, but maybe I'll come back to that another time. But yeah, the philosophy that's explored is very much up my street. It's about sort of questioning one's reality and what things that we do in the name of comfort, in the name of the status quo, handing over power to a higher force, and unquestioning, implicit, unquestioning trust of concepts, which comes. I gotta stop going. I hate doing that. I hate people who a lot. It's so annoying. And yeah, I've probably been doing it the entire way through this review, so I guess I'm a bit rusty. I'll get used to being sort of comfortable again and talking to you guys properly. Shut up. So, as for like character development and such, I wouldn't say this movie's incredibly thick with it. I mean, you've got a lot more questionable stuff being done by our protagonists in the first Incredibles movie, which I suppose does make it a much more interesting film in a way. You've got Bob Parr in spoilers if you haven't seen the first one, and if you haven't, then why the hell are you watching this? But yeah, in the first movie you have Bob Parr, who deceives his entire family in order to go on secret superhero missions, which is a pretty morally dubious thing to do. But then once that conflict is overcome, you have quite a straight action film with just, you know, the characters are all trapped on the island and such. And there is still character development going on throughout the film. There's loads of really nice moments, you know, just, I can't lose you again! I'm not strong enough. That whole section is so great. I don't think you get as much of that with this film. You do get a lot of very decent action stuff, but it is much more like the straightforward action story. You have a lot of interesting elements being played on. Obviously, Jack plays a big part, as you can tell from the trailers. But whether or not that even really means anything significant, you know, if it actually adds to story or character or themes that much at all, is really very questionable. I think the film does go, as I said, the film goes to some interesting places. Some strong themes are conveyed, but they're much more on the nose, and it's not subtle, and they don't really pay off in any big way. They're just sort of like questions that are raised and then sort of forgotten about later on. Yeah, there was actually something else I meant to mention with that. Speaking of character development, oh yeah, the other problem with this film is that the plot is just a lot more predictable. It's very obvious where certain things are going. I don't want to throw in any spoilers, but it does get like so on the nose, very, very almost Scooby-Doo-esque on the nose kind of levels, and it's really a shame because it's not like the first movie is full of twists or anything. You know, you've got the twist of Syndrome turning out to be Buddy, and that all happens in the first third of the film, first half anyway, and at the very least, I should think. But with this, there really was just a total lack of decent twist. There was one decent twist, which is also a set. Oh no, I shouldn't. Spoilers. But yeah, there is a serious issue with just the lack of subtlety in this film. You'll know exactly where it's going from the very beginning, well, not from the very beginning, but as soon as you get introduced to all the characters, in that same way when you're introduced to, I guess I did sort of foresee it potentially going somewhere different for like 10 seconds at the beginning, and then quite quickly it became obvious where it was in fact going. But you know, when it comes to introducing new characters, it's the details that are left in and the details that are left out that make it quite obvious, you know, what is missing, what's missing for the puzzle piece, what could be the red herrings, all that sort of thing. So in all, it's that if you're looking for something that's going to really blow your mind in terms of writing, this movie isn't really it. I thought that a lot of the characters were going to be more annoying in this iteration, especially Dash. I was worried was going to be much more annoying in this movie than he was in the previous one. And he's not, thankfully. He's actually pretty much okay. But again, nothing like insanely charming or anything. That's just personal opinion, I think, for that one. Perhaps you'll find him the cutest little terror. And I mean, he's basically Bart Simpson. Also, it's interesting to note how the voice actors' voices have massively changed over time. I've actually completely forgotten who voices Helen, but I'm pretty sure. I have a feeling it might be that same woman who's in Batman vs Superman, because she's got the same. She's gotten clearly significantly older, and she's got more of a whistle to her voice, like that woman in Batman vs Superman. And not that that's a bad thing. Obviously, you know, we get older. We're human beings. We are fragile and mortal, and we can't be preserved perfectly in amber for the sake of art, as many people seem to think that we can. You know, Tom Cruise has managed to perfectly preserve himself for most of his life, to be fair, but I have no idea, and yet at the same time taking huge risks with his body. But sorry, that's a talk for another time. But yeah, still, it's kind of distracting to have Helen go. Basically, sounds like her voice ages from, you know, 30 to 60 in between the two movies, when no time is meant to have passed. But I feel like they actually seem to incorporate that into the animation a little bit more, like the way that Helen moved her mouth. It's sort of, I mean, I guess it seems like an obvious thing that you'd have to change the way that a character's mouth moves in order to match the sound coming out of it. But still, I think there was some like subtle differences that were used to make the transition a bit smoother, which I think's admirable. So that's basically something that's some of the smaller things that I wanted to talk about. I don't think there's really anything that I want to talk about that's massively spoilers-esque. Just there was one thing I wanted to say, but it's more like just that there's this one moment. You know, as I said, the plot twists in this are really, really really obvious. And not that I'm going to be afraid of swearing. Just when we get back to the review thing, I'm probably not going to be as, you know, quite as much as I was, because I was getting a bit Doug Walker-esque at points, but I think we're going to be doing a lot of rethinking in terms. Now I'm going off on a tangent. There's one point in the movie where the plot twist is basically outright stated to the character, to the screen. It's just so maddeningly obvious. It's just hilarious. So look forward to that moment. Anyway, yeah, I think that I can basically wrap this review up, because I've talked about everything I need to talk about in terms of overall. Good movie, solid movie, weak moments, not as good as the... I wouldn't even necessarily condemn it with saying it's not as good as the original. I think it carries on the story nicely. You don't need to compare the two. It's not a competition. It's just a different fate. But still, you know, inevitably there will be a comparison in the same way. Speaking of Westworld Season 1 and 2. Season 1, brilliant. Season 2, not so much, comparatively. Anyway, talk about that another time. So yeah, we're going back to future reviews. Hopefully that is something that's I'm going to be doing. You know, I'm going to try and get into it more and more. We'll really just see what happens, because my life's still very much in flux at the moment. Hard to tell how busy I'm going to be over the next few months, how absolutely not busy I might be. It can, which, you know, it depends really on what I end up doing. But we'll see about that. But going back to the reviews, I am hoping to sort of shake things up a little bit in terms of the formula and the form of my reviews. You know, because the way that we were doing it before, in that sort of Channel Awesome style, was good. It's a good medium, and it works for me, and it's worked for a lot of other artists. You know, I've a lot of other critics, and but then as I come back to it, it does make me think more and more, especially, you know, talking about concepts that one just lives with without questioning them. What if there is something more efficient that I can make? What if there's some new form that's going to be stronger, better for my comedy, better for my style and all that sort of thing? What can we create that's new? And you know, I want to find my own form and that sort of thing. So it might be a bit before we see this review. It's hard to say, but it could be. As I say, it is hard to say. And also, you know, it's going to take me a minute to think up whatever the new idea is going to be. So you know, I've got to switch the old brain on. I've been thinking about a lot of different creative ideas lately. I still got a lot of sort of irons in the fire in terms of ideas. It's hard to know exactly where you're going to land, you know. But yeah, so that's basically it, and hopefully look forward to my next review coming up in whatever form it is, whatever it's called, whatever character I'll play when I do it. Maybe I'll just be me, maybe it'll be an entirely different character, maybe I'll be on fire throughout. But yeah, just to give you a little hint as to what that movie is going to be. I'm going to ruin your favourite film. Oh god, actually that was probably worse than most of the music in this film. I haven't seen it yet. We'll find out. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, looking forward to this review. I think it's going to be a good one. I just think there's some interesting stuff to say, and I haven't even seen the film yet, so let's see. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching all the way through, especially if you wanted to get to this little hint, which was a massive shitty payoff, and after so many months of working on my singing voice, I probably wish that I had another chance to do a second take of this, but I'm not going to bother. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and love you all, and toodly pipski, hopefully see you soon. Bye!